minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome into it. Hey, happy Wednesday, middle of the week, man. We got a lot to talk about today. No guests today. You and I chit in the chat. We got plenty to cover and so much to try and cram into this hour, so let's have some fun. Strap in and buckle up. We have election updates from last night. We have the Trump announcement just a little while ago with another announcement. The announcement he made yesterday, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, and some other news coming from, the cabinet meeting from yesterday and a heck of a lot more. So that being said, make sure to like it out, share it out, leave that comment, break the algorithm. Let's do this thing for the middle of the week. Hang tight. Here we go.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your Wednesday, middle of the week, the greatest day of the entire week as we are setting that tone. We're still carpe diemisms all over the place here on the program, and that's how we like to start it. Welcome in. It's the Voice of Reason. I am Andy Hooser, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country. So many great radio stations across the nation. Welcome aboard. Doing our thing, maybe.
Do it live.
There it is, like we do every single day here on the show. All right, no guests today. You and I chit in the chat. We have plenty to cover from yesterday's events, from news going on today, some breaking news, election coverage, and a heck of a lot more. So we'll get to all of that and more here on the program. The election last night, even when Republicans win, we still can't win with the media. They still can't just admit that Republicans did well, won an election, continue the majority, and so on. Man, they are having about trying to desperately keep that momentum. And I got to be honest, I kind of smell the desperation coming from the other side of the aisle. That's where we're going to start today.
What's trending today?
And then I promise there was a news conference from the press, from the Trump administration just a little while ago that we will break down that leads right into this beautifully because the agenda continues on. The focus we have to have as voters, as Republicans, as conservatives, the messaging is the number one priority. We're already winning. We have 9 cabinet meetings that we've had throughout this administration so far. In this year, the Biden administration had like 9 cabinet meetings the entire 4-year period, and it wasn't really publicized. It wasn't really available for the media, for the public. We just didn't know what was going on because there was really nothing going on. And then the media, of course, Donald Trump sleeping through the cabinet meeting, and he's dozing out. He's not. He commented on every single one of them. Just because he had his eyes closed does not mean that he's sleeping. I'm not sleeping. I'm resting my eyes. Or I'm thinking really hard. I don't know, but it was ridiculous. They got nothing. I smell the desperation really bad. You might want to cover up your desperation showing is where we're at. So the election last night is a prime example. We have Matt Van Epps, the winner of the Tennessee Congressional District in their special election, beating the AOC of Tennessee, Afton Bain, on Tuesday for the special election for that 7th Congressional District, winning by over 9 points. Now, the media reports, yeah, that happened, but they say it's not just a win. The stories from Politico, These stories from NBC News, all of them just say that Republicans are, quote, in dangerous territory and fret over the election results because we won?
Say what?
Is that it? So we're worried, and they say we're apparently worried. I didn't know if I was worried. Are you worried? I didn't know I was worried. But apparently we're worried as Republicans because we won by a smaller margin than what we had done before. Donald Trump won that congressional district by 22 points. The Republican candidate for this 7th district won by 9 points last night. So they say Democrats are gaining. They're pushing momentum. They always traditionally do better in midterm elections and the off seasons. So therefore, they have beautiful momentum going into the midterm elections. And again, you can try to say that, and that's a nice campaign email from the Democrats and the DNC for fundraisers to say, we have the momentum, we're gaining traction, continue to donate. And you kind of need to, by the way, with all of the debt that you're in with, what, a $17 million loan that the DNC had to take out for the elections for this year alone, for the few special elections that they had. That, to me, shows that you are not in the best shape financially right now. So use it. Go for it. Do what you do. But this is an off-season special election, not even during a special election time when other special elections happen in the month of November. You have that. You have the idea of the candidate. I don't know anything about these candidates other than the Democrat being called the AOC of Tennessee. You have voter turnout that's just overwhelmingly low during this time of year in the middle of the holiday season. It's a special election in general. It's all speculation. It really means absolutely nothing. And Republicans, we have to get rid of the fear-mongering and the hysteria from the mainstream media to recognize that the elections that we lost just a month ago with Zohran Mamdani and a few of these others were in Democrat regions areas. So did that really give them much of a momentum next year because they won in Democrat areas they were already expected to win in? I don't really know that did. And with the win last night, that's awesome. We won. Yeah, we won by a little bit smaller margin than what Trump won. Who cares? We still won the election. We still have people turning out, and we realize that even in these areas where they are deep red and they're trying to create this socialist Mamdani, AOC, Bernie Sanders revolution, that it's not working. And maybe they gained a little bit of ground, but it's just because we didn't turn out to vote. At the end of the day, Republicans win when we turn out to vote. At the end of the day, over the past 2 years, we've seen a 4 million voter difference between 2.5 million voters that have joined the Republican Party and more than 2 million voters that have left the Democrat Party. So there's a 4 million vote difference after a popular vote win from President Donald Trump. So you can say you're gaining momentum, but I don't know that that's necessarily happening.
Winning.
Unless you're delusional and you're just trying to keep the momentum and you're the eternal optimist like we are here on the program. Because the bigger question to me is, what is the platform of the Democrat Party? And I'd like to know, and I'm not trying to be critical of it, I just want to know what the platform is. The platform cannot be, I'm just against whatever Donald Trump says and does. And that's kind of what we've turned into now, is anything Donald Trump does, even if it's good, they're against it. They're against the whole Trump accounts for children, which is very strange. They're against bombing narco-terrorists trying to bring drugs into the nation. And they're like, no, we can't be doing that. And that's very strange to me. I don't understand why they're taking that position other than it's just anti-Trump. And if that's what they're going to do, I guess, cool, but you don't have a platform. You couldn't stand on the economy because the economy, while you're trying to, use certain trigger words that we'll get to in a moment, that doesn't seem to be working out for you. You can't use the crime in the streets, because crime has been really bad under decades of Democrat policies, decades of new bureaucracies, decades of new agencies and programs, decades of millions of dollars being spent on these programs that didn't obviously work or do anything. And now Donald Trump's gone in 9 months and cleaned up and cut crime almost in half in some of these major metropolitan cities. So that's a big win for the Trump administration, right? You can't really run on that platform. Can't run on immigration. Joe Biden said we needed to pass more legislation. Donald Trump came in, ended the illegal migrants coming over across the southern border. We've had more than 2 million people either be deported or self-deport because of immigration policy. That's pretty impressive. Again, in an 8 to 9 month time frame. For the FBI, Kash Patel's over his head. He's so overwhelmed. Are the headlines that we see from the mainstream media right now, when we've caught 3 or 4 out of the top 10 most wanted on the FBI watch list, and we've already stopped multiple different attacks of individuals, and we're allowing what Kash Patel says is let good cops be cops and do coppy things, which is stopping bad guys. And that, to me, is another big win. I don't understand where they can attack here. The healthcare issue. Okay, we're going to debate on healthcare here in the next month. Cool. Where's your platform? They don't have one. Their platform right now is trying to take the AOC, Mamdani, Bernie Sanders approach, which is really unfortunate because that's not a winning popular movement. That's not the majority or the bulk of the Democrat Party, or at least I hope it shouldn't be, because that would be pretty radical for them to really, truly embrace the true socialism that has infiltrated their party. But Mamdani, if you remember, a couple weeks ago, while sitting in the White House with President Donald Trump, his trigger word was what? Affordability. Affordability. And that's what they have now, because even though we saw a 30% inflation rate over a 4-year period for the Biden administration, now all of a sudden it's the economy's bad. We're going into a recession. We see headlines today. Small businesses are closing down. We're cutting workers across the country for small business, even though we just came off one of the most successful Black Fridays in a really long time, almost $12 billion worth of economic investment by people purchasing over this past weekend. I would say that's pretty successful. And I'm hoping a lot of it went to small business. I hope we didn't just go to a bunch of big box stores or something. But now it's all about affordability of housing and of food and of automobiles. And in fact, where we go with our headlines today.
What's trending today?
What have we heard in the mainstream media for the past week? Well, cars are actually too expensive. Vehicle purchases are on the way down. We're seeing the price of a new vehicle skyrocket left and right. Donald Trump, it's your fault on that one too. Au contraire, announcement today from President Donald Trump, which this announcement obviously has been in the works for a while, which is why they made the announcement, again, always 1 or 2 steps ahead of the mainstream media, saying this in the Oval Office just a few hours ago.
Horrible, actually, CAFE standards that imposed expensive restrictions and all sorts of problems, gave all sorts of problems to automakers. And we're not only talking about here, we're talking about outside of our country, because nobody could do it. Nobody wanted to do it, and it was ridiculous, very expensive. It put tremendous upward pressure on car prices, combined with the insane electric vehicle mandate. Biden's burdensome regulations helped cause the price of cars to soar more than 25%, and in one case, they went up 18% in 1 year. Today, we're taking one more step to kill the Green New scam. It's part of the greatest scam, probably, well, other than Russia, and a few others I could name. The greatest scam in American history, the Green New scam. And it's a quest to end the gasoline-powered car. This is what they wanted to do, even though we have more gasoline than any other country by far. And people want the gasoline car. They want everything. They want electric. They want to have lots of alternatives.
Sounds like a guy that's fallen asleep, right? He's just super boring. He's got some health issues, not really moving along. He's only the most productive president in modern American history, but he's fallen asleep. He's got the health issues, got the CT scan, got the x-rays or whatever they try to say. I just find it hilarious. Sorry, that was my little side note. Just hearing Donald Trump. He had 2 meetings yesterday. He had a meeting today. He's all over the place, and they're trying to say that he's got health issues and falling asleep during meetings. All right, mainstream media, again, smelling that desperation bleeding out of the Democrat Party right now. So what was this announcement? It's the ending of the Trump or the fuel standards that were implemented under the Biden administration for vehicles, saying that by 2030, not only did we have the plan, the 20 by 30 plan, or I'm sorry, the 30 by 30 plan. If you don't know what that is, that was on the environmental side of issues, saying that the federal government wanted to own and control 30% of all land in the country by the year 2030, which they're honestly already really close to that already. I think they're at like 27, 28% of owning federal land, putting it into national parks or doing whatever they do in preservations to where we can't build on it, we can't commercialize it, we can't live on it, we can't do anything. It's federally owned land, and they were doing that for environmental purposes through the EPA, through their Green New Deal. That's what the Biden administration was pushing. That was the Barack Obama push back in the day as well, was the 30 by 30 plan. And they're already almost there. I mean, that's really, really close. So they'll probably still hit that, whether that initiative is still active or not. But part of that under the Biden administration was to regulate vehicles, and forcing all vehicles to be either all electric or at such a hybrid level that you had to drive roughly 50 miles to the gallon with the efficiency on each vehicle by 2030. Not sure if you're aware or not, that's like 4 years from now. And I don't know how many vehicle manufacturers were going to be able to meet that demand by having either all electric vehicles or having vehicles that could have the efficiency of 50 miles to the gallon, when the most efficient one, I want to say, is around 30 to 35-ish. And that was during the statement today made as well from, I don't know if it was Sean Duffy or somebody else that was at that Oval Office meeting, but we still had a ways to go. Completely inefficient, completely unreasonable, and putting these regulatory mandates on the private sector with these auto industries where they were having to create vehicles that were extremely unpopular. People aren't wanting all of these electric vehicles. And there's some that do. I mean, I still see a lot of Teslas driving around even in the city of Wichita in the heart of the country. I see Teslas. Okay, cool. I see a lot of people with hybrids or all electric. All the power to you. But to force the industry to only go one direction, kind of insane. Completely unreasonable. And can you imagine the regulations and the cost it took for the manufacturers to go that direction forcibly? That was increasing their costs of production. That was increasing them to raise the prices to offset that by the sales that they were actually making.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, welcome back into the program. I love how there's always this theory that Donald Trump's playing 4D chess, which obviously Marjorie Taylor Greene not very happy about that, which is why she's dropping out, running away on January 5th, walking away from her congressional seat. Very unfortunate on that one. Makes me sad. But at the same time, the affordability talk, the rhetoric, the trigger word that we're hearing from the other side of the aisle is saying affordability, which we get. Things are way too expensive. Maybe that should have been the talking point during the past 4 years. I know, that would have been pretty wild, but did that happen? No, that didn't happen. But we're dealing with it. And one of those that was just subliminally just popping up in the media with CNBC that focuses on the financial markets and the way the economy is going, and Politico and NBC and a few other networks. Over the past week or so, they've had a few stories that have just run about just the price of automobiles are too expensive. The price of automobiles too high. And at least they are not. I think we're smart enough, you and I, we get it. We talk about these issues every day, and we can put two and two together. We're kind of commonsensical on that front, where we can understand why the prices are too high. Maybe it's the regulations that we put on the auto industry. Maybe it's the environmental regulations that we tell them what they have to abide by. Maybe it's the fact that, you know, we have all these different ways of forcing a business to tell them how to run their business and then complain to them that it's still not good enough. I would think, or maybe it's a union that's just throwing a fit and wants $80 an hour and 30-hour work weeks. I mean, that could be an issue too. And is that happening? No, that's right. They tried. They tried the UAW, man. They want to do it all over again. And our friends up in Detroit that listen to our weekend program, we love talking about that during our weekend show. But nonetheless, there are so many. I love killing two birds with one stone, essentially, because we have the opportunity to deregulate the auto industry. And just like we are with healthcare and insurance, maybe we can stop subsidizing the auto industry, which they've received a lot of money from the federal government to transition into this electric vehicle move, because that's what the EPA was doing. That's what the Biden administration was doing. That's what the bureaucrats were wanting to do for a while now, was to allow them more money to transition, which wasn't working, and people just weren't buying it at the rate that they wanted them to do. And then we spent a buttload of money on different programs like building charging stations around the country.
From day one, I've been taking action to make buying a car more affordable. I signed an executive order to end the unfair, expensive electric vehicle mandate. As you know, we had to have an electric car within a very short period of time, even though there was no way of charging them and lots of other things. It would have cost $5 trillion to build the charging plants. And as you know, in certain parts of the Midwest, they spent, to build 9 chargers, they spent $8 billion. So that wasn't working out too well. That was done before me, by the way. I wouldn't have let it go forward.
You really have to ask on what kind of fraud was happening there. Have you heard the story where it's, they talk about how inefficient government is? There's a bid for a government contract, and one company comes in at $1,000, another company comes in at $1,500, and then the third company says we'll do it for $2,000, and they're like, "What do you mean? Like, we'll do it for $2,000. You get $500, I get $500, and we'll hire the cheap contractor at $1,000." Like that. That's how inefficient government operations really are. And if we're spending, how much money was it? How many billions on so many different chargers?
And as you know, in certain parts of the Midwest, they spent, to build 9 chargers.
9 chargers.
They spent $8 billion.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. Completely unreasonable. The city of Wichita, where I'm based out of with our flagship station, they were, a couple of years ago, before our new mayor came in and our new city council members came in, they had a bunch of COVID-19 relief funding they had to get rid of, and they didn't know what to spend it on. And instead of just saying, we're not going to waste it and we're not going to do frivolous things with it, they ended up building 2 concrete porta potties in public parks in the city of Wichita. Can you imagine how much money was spent on those 2 porta potties? $600 million. That's, or I'm sorry, $600,000. Not $600 million, $600,000 on 2 porta potties. Yeah. That's the level of ridiculousness when government needs to find a way to get rid of money just to get rid of money. Absolutely insane. We got lots more to get to. Stay right here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. The Hoosier Media Network continues to grow every single day with new shows, new content, and new information as we continue to fight the narrative against the mainstream and give you the alternative view of the world. The Hoosier Media Network is home to great TV, radio, and podcasting programs on any topic of any interest. From politics and current events to religion and spirituality, holistic and alternative health, entertainment, motivational speakers, and so much more. And with the Hoosier Media Network, you can enjoy more content from the Voice of Reason like this. With the vaccinations, with the quote-unquote health pandemic, now that the emergency response is going to be lifted by the end of this month, with the continued forcefulness of vaccines that they've done, are we at the stage in society that you thought that we would be in at this time?
That's a good question. I haven't had that one. I thought we were going to be further along with disclosure of the data and acknowledgement by the government of what's happened here. Instead, what we've seen is the ongoing suppression of information, including public health information that doctors could use to help start protecting their patients from the long-range consequences of these if they only had the data. So what has happened is some really interesting information is popped in the UK that's demonstrated that their lead public health officer has really weaponized fear and manipulated the people. That's creating a lot of blowback over there. And we still have just a ton of denialism, cover-ups and everything else going on. They just don't seem to want to come clean.
That is very true. Now, here's the big question. Is it starting to get leaked out? Obviously, we heard the last couple days the other side losing their minds over, for example, the January 6th videos coming out. There's now an ethics complaint being filed against House Speaker Kevin McCarthy because the video was released to the public for our personal knowledge and understanding and information. Is the truth beginning to come out on this issue as well? Not only with, obviously, we see the origins of COVID coming out, which they're trying to push back from, realizing that it wasn't Ozzy Osbourne biting the head off a bat over in China to spread this virus, but it was actually the Wuhan lab that was spreading this. So that's starting to happen. Will the truth come out on this vaccine stuff too?
Yeah, the backstory on that was that this appears to have been a retaliation because the Chinese government was aligning itself with Russia, and so we decided that this was the right time to really emphasize the role of the CCP and the Wuhan Institute of Virology, while obscuring the fact that the tech was transferred to them by EcoHealth Alliance, and the money to do the job was provided by the U.S. government. So that's an interesting twist. Is the information coming out about the jabs? Somewhat. There's still just a ton of denialism, pushback. The whole propaganda apparatus is still absolutely in gear. The fifth-gen warfare, PSYOPs, is still in progress. And we did have a fascinating article the other day that issued in Newsweek. This is from my friend Scott Atlas. America's COVID response was based on lies, published on the 6th in Newsweek. This is one of the most frank acknowledgments of what's happened that I've seen. But it focuses mostly on the lockdowns, and I think there's growing universal agreement that the lockdowns were a huge government overstep. Whatever you think about the jabs, whether they're safe or effective or not, pretty much there's universal acknowledgement that the lockdowns caused enormous damage economically, excess loss of life, destroying businesses, destroying people's income and ability to make a living, and for absolutely no purpose at all.
Listen to all these programs and so much more as we try to bring back knowledge, wisdom, and truth back into the world. And we do that right here with the Hooser Media Network, the future of media.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, welcome back into the program. Great to have you today for a midweek celebration. By the way, if you missed any of the program, we always love you checking out the podcast, which we are growing exponentially. We've already broken the download records that we had last year, which was exponentially larger than the year prior. So we continue to grow every year, continue to win some great awards for the podcast. Thank you for that. We love you and appreciate you very, very much. I cannot say that enough. We are growing really quickly, and we appreciate that very, very much. You can find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Again, The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. You will find my ugly mug on there, and you can check it out. Also, if you want links to our podcast, to our social media, to whatever, go to our website at HooserReason.com. Go and check all of that out. We have, by the way, there's so much I want to get to today. To go off of the issue of the automobile, the regulations, the deregulation that we're seeing, the cutting, we get to cut fraudulent, wasteful, ridiculous spending from an organization like the Environmental Protection Agency and the regulations that they've put in there for the Green New Deal under the Biden administration to deregulate the auto industry, allow them to start making the vehicles that we want to make because they know what is actually moving off of their dealerships and what vehicles that we actually want to buy, and they'll start making more of those, and then we can get back to lower prices. So you want to talk about the talking point of Democrats of affordability. Donald Trump's already kind of working on it, and it's been in the works for a long time. So another one down the drain for Democrats as they desperately try to find a way to get one up on Trump going into midterm season isn't quite working. Now, speaking of fraud, did you hear, we did not get to this yesterday during the cabinet meeting from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Holy cow, man.
What's trending today?
Lots of big news as Brooke Rollins, the secretary for the USDA, made the statement in the cabinet meeting yesterday talking about the SNAP benefits after the government shutdown and the exposure of how many people, allegedly, are actually on the SNAP benefits and food stamps across the nation, saying this.
Food stamp reform. When all of America saw what so many of us know and have been working on, but when you have so much rampant fraud in a program that 42 million Americans participate in, now big good piece of news that I hope is written about. Since you became president, about 800,000 of those 42 million have moved off of food stamps.
All right, before we, those are large numbers. 42 million Americans that were on food stamps. Now, since the Donald Trump administration came in, 800,000, according to Brooke Rollins in the USDA, 800,000. So almost a million of 42 million have come off. That could be either the ending of some of the fraud because they were concerned of, we might get caught, so we might as well end this program, or people coming off it because they don't need it any longer. And they could also say that their benefits have retired and they weren't qualified to actually come back onto them. And that could be a possibility as well. Because we are putting work requirements back on these things. Unlike during COVID, you have to work at least 20 hours a week or show that you're applying to certain jobs or have certain criteria in order for you to qualify, which is just, again, common sense. The other side gets really angry about that. No, we should have everything free all the time without any question whatsoever. And if that's your stance, and all the power to you. Well done. But that's not going to be the way that we actually operate in this nation. So 42,800,000 coming off, which is good news. But here's the crazy part.
Which is hopefully the plan, with better jobs, higher wages, etc. But still, when we found 186,000 dead people's Social Security numbers being used, 500,000 people receiving benefits more than twice. We had a couple of people receiving benefits in 6 states. In February of this year, we asked for all the states for the first time to turn over their data to the federal government, to let the USDA partner with them.
Okay, before we go any further, again, the breakdown of collecting this data, verifying. For those that don't know, and this was made really more public during the Department of Government Efficiency, which is still running behind the scenes, but it's not as popular now. Elon Musk isn't involved with it anymore, so therefore it doesn't get the traction or at least the media exposure that it was before, but it's still working. They still say they're going to be on track to save us $1 trillion by 4th of July next year. By the time Elon Musk left in May, I want to say, we had close to $200 billion that we had saved just by basic accounting, which blows my mind. How many tens of thousands of federal employees do we have working, and no one was like, gee, maybe I should verify that this money's going out and actually going to a place where it's supposed to be going, either going to pay a contract or going to a certain individual for proper issues or memos within the transaction to just prove where it's going. None of that was happening in the tens of thousands of federal employees. And for those that don't know, this was made public really during Doge. Elon Musk even mentioned it during an interview with Joe Rogan on his podcast a few weeks ago, is that every social program, and I mean everyone, all of them base the validity when they certify this individual that you can get a government contract, that you can pay out this money to this individual, that you can get these social programs, that you can have these SNAP benefits, that every single agency within the federal government does their cross-checking based on the data and information from the Social Security Administration. Meaning that if someone dies and they were receiving Social Security, they may not be receiving Social Security benefits anymore, which is, that's part of it. But if they're still in the database as an active member, they could still be receiving other government benefits just because they're still in the data rolls of the Social Security Administration, which is why the biggest issue, and if you remember at that time, they were trying to get access to Social Security's information because that's where it all starts. And that's why they put up the biggest fight. And it all makes sense. The light bulb clicks on now for people who are like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense now. Because they were throwing the biggest fit. How dare you? There's going to be some violations of people's private property and private data and private information, which is really funny that they actually care about that now after social media and working with them and collecting metadata and all this other garbage. But they were concerned at that time about Doge was going to compromise all the personal data of you and I through the Social Security Administration and all this other garbage that they were throwing out there as the smoke and mirrors and the red tape and any way to stop us from looking at that administration. Why? Because that is the tree, that is the trunk of the tree where all the branches of every other social program and administration and department and agency gets their information. And if we start cleaning up the data rolls on the Social Security Administration, then all the other ones start toppling as well with all the fraud that's going on in there. And that's why they threw the biggest fits. So now we're starting to see this. And it shined the light. Again, Democrats thinking that they were stopping the Trump administration during the government shutdown. We want universal health care. We want all these subsidies. They thought they were really, really, really smart trying to shut down the government, put pressure on people, make them lose their social programs, and then blame Donald Trump for it. What it actually exposed was all the fraud that was going on within these SNAP benefits that they didn't want us to know about and that we're starting to find out now. And now we're going to look at each state and see how bad this really is, which is why states are now not giving this data to the federal government.
First time to turn over their data to the federal government, to let the USDA partner with them to root out this fraud, to make sure that those who really need food stamps are getting them, but also to ensure that the American taxpayer is protected. 21 states said yes, not surprised. 29 states said yes, not surprisingly, the red states, and that's where all of that data, that fraud comes from. But 21 states, including California, New York, and Minnesota, the blue states, continue to say no. So as of next week, we have begun and will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states until they comply. and they tell us and allow us to partner with them to root out this fraud and to protect the American taxpayer.
By the way, the state of Kansas, where I'm living in as well, has also said no. Even though we have a Republican legislature, we have a Democrat blue governor, and her administration says they will not be providing this information to the U.S. Department of Agriculture or to anybody else because, well, it's a violation of, again, giving privacy and personal information. Government already has this personal information. We're just trying to verify that you're not getting fraudulent SNAP benefits. Why? Because this is a major moneymaker for whoever it is behind the scenes. The shadows that are at bay behind the scenes here, they're getting a lot of money, and there's a lot of people getting fraudulent payments, and they don't want that to end. They don't want that to go away. So guess what? Starting next week, many states are going to have to figure it out on their own, which is probably the way that it should be in the first place. Constitutionally, if you want to go that route, there's really not a place for them to say, we're going to give away a whole bunch of food stamps and food programs through the USDA and through SNAP. But we have the program. It's 42 million people on it, 41 million people almost on it now. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon, but there's a lot of fraud, and we have to figure that out, and they're starting to lose the grip. Here's what's exciting about all this. And I'm honestly, truly excited about all of it because we are seeing, and I've said this before, we're seeing the toppling of the house of cards. We are seeing now this entire structure that was built on fraud, that was built on personal interest, that was built on corruption. Every agency, every program, every time that the media came out and every PR push from Democrats that said this was supposed to help the people, we're creating something new that's going to benefit the people, that's going to benefit certain communities of people, whatever it is, that they always build this structure and it ended up becoming a shell company and it ended up becoming a complete fraud. An NGO, where it says it's doing one thing, it gives 10% of that and it goes somewhere else for the other 90% that's complete fraudulent, and we don't know exactly where that money is actually going. All of this is starting to just crumble before our eyes. The structure of these rehabilitation programs to try and stop crime in the streets that only made crime worse in streets across the nation ended within an 8-month time of the Trump administration because of us just saying we're not going to tolerate homelessness, we're not going to tolerate drug use, we're not going to tolerate crime, you're going to go to jail, and we're going to stop the flow of drugs into the country. That's why they're fighting Trump with the National Guard. It's why they're upset with Donald Trump blowing up the boats coming in from Venezuela with the narco-terrorists, because it's interrupting the entire system they've put in place to try and quote-unquote help people, but it's only benefiting the bureaucratic state. And it's crumbling. And now with this, with the SNAP benefits, millions upon millions of dollars. Did you know, by the way, the Department of Social Security, the Social Security Administration, how many federal employees work there? 58,000 federal employees in the Social Security Administration. 58,000! And we can't clean up the data rolls to know that everybody there is legitimate, that helps and funds other agencies as well? Come on, man. Something smells fishy. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, DC's broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
When it comes to something like sausage, I know you want the best quality, the best flavor, and the best in services. Andy Hooser here for J&S Smoked Snacks. And it's time for you to try their handcrafted sausage, made in small batches for freshness and seasoned with their signature blends. You won't find anything else like it. Make sure to try their one-of-the-kind dill pickle sausage made with real pickles, or spice things up with my favorite, the jalapeno cheddar sausage. Taste the difference today at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy The Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with The Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, common sense, reason, rationale. It's what we do on this program. Man, it flies right on by. I thought we just got started. I got so much more to talk about. But yet, here we are, man. We'll be back at it again every single day, so don't miss a single bit of it. You can find our website, HooserReason.com. Find our podcast at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. I want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. We are getting so close to kicking off the 250th birthday of this nation. I cannot wait. I'm not waiting till 4th of July. I'm going to be celebrating January 1. It's going to be a year of celebration. The economy's turning around right now. We're seeing the greatness, the golden age of America starting. And I know you're excited about it as well. So are our friends over at AFP. They have been launching a massive nationwide educational campaign for you, your neighbors, your family, your friends, your kids, your grandkids, whoever it is, to learn about the greatness of this nation and the greatness of the American people that made this nation what it is today. Go to TakeOneSmallStep.com. TakeOneSmallStep.com. You can learn about it. You can sign up. You can get information. It's going to be a year-long campaign learning about how great this nation is and the greatness of the people throughout the history of this nation that has made this country what it is today with TakeOneSmallStep.com and our friends over at Americans for Prosperity. Speaking, by the way, of government corruption, as we have with this whole SNAP benefit that we're starting to expose, they're getting a little shaky in the knees with Democrats. That's why they're putting up their wall, not wanting to get this information out. Looking at the front, I had to laugh, and you probably have not heard this story unless you live in the state. But just north of where I'm at in Kansas, up in the state of Nebraska, there is a lawsuit going on right now. And you want to talk about waste of government money, waste of taxpayer money, waste of you, especially as a union member. As a public union, they are suing the state of Nebraska as public employees working for the public union or with the public union, suing Governor Jim Pillen, the governor of Nebraska, and suing the state of Nebraska because of the executive order that was signed by the governor back in 2 years ago in 2023 for their return to work policy after the COVID pandemic.
Say what?
I know. They're suing because they don't want to have to return back into the office. I don't know if they are right now or not, if they're still, because of the lawsuit, whether they still had to go back to work or whether they're still at home waiting for the decision from the lawsuit. But the lawsuit claims, according to these public union workers, and again, all of this is taxpayer money, because if it's the public union, then it's their dues going into the union, but their dues are paid for by your taxpayer money in the state of Nebraska. So it's your taxpayer money suing yourself because they don't want to have to return back to work. According to the to the lawsuit, they say that the return to office that was signed in 2023 through an executive order by the governor is subject to a labor contract negotiation because you apparently have to renegotiate your contract to have people actually go back to work. Because according to the argument of the head of the public labor union for the statewide employees, they say that the expenses of travel and the expenses of parking for the public workers to go back to work is a renegotiation of the contract.
Say what?
Now, I don't know exactly what they were doing before COVID pandemic, but now making them work from home during the pandemic and then asking them to come back apparently is just too much of a financial daunting task for the expense of the travel for like gas and wear and tear on your vehicle like every other American has to do across the nation, and for them to have to pay for parking when they actually get to their job because, well, that's the job they signed up for. Here's the kicker. This lawsuit over the last 2 years has amounted to an expense of $40,000 in the state of Nebraska. Again, taxpayer money that's supposed to be right now at least paid for by the union because they're the ones that started the lawsuit. Their expense is supposed to be $40,000 of your taxpayer money in Nebraska to fight this lawsuit against yourself to not have to go back to work and pay for gas to drive to work every day. And now they're continuing on the lawsuit to ask the state to not have the union pay for it because it's too much of an expense. So apparently now in the entitlement of public employees, they don't want to have to drive to work. They don't want to have to get out of their pajamas and actually go to work on a regular basis. And now because they started the lawsuit by throwing a fit, they're now asking to not have to pay for the lawsuit costs of near $40,000 in the state of Nebraska. If you want to talk about absolute government waste, government corruption, and public employees that probably don't need to be doing what they're doing, that's a prime example. And that's just one small example of what's going on, not just in Nebraska, but all over the country, because these people are absolutely nuts. Public employees, and not all public employees, I'm not saying that, but the leaders of the public employees, the heads of these agencies and departments that think they can get away with this crap, that have been entitled for a long time. And by the way, the unions that think that they can fight these fights and waste money because, well, they have to do something to represent their people. Absolute insanity. Back at it again tomorrow. We have so much more to cover. Until then, be your own voice of reason. Be that catalyst for change. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We'll see you on the radio. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch The Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on on religion and spirituality, hear entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic.